All right, we'll get started. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be back in Waterbury today. I want to thank Rick, Angelica, and their team for hosting us today as we highlight Manufacturing Month with Cabot Hosiery Mills, who have been in Vermont since their founding in 1978. When we look back over the last few decades, we've seen more than our share of businesses, but especially manufacturers, leave Vermont. Some due to globalization and offshoring to places like China, Mexico, and Vietnam, while others left Vermont due to the ever-increasing costs of doing business here. But instead of taking their business out of the state, Rick and his father, Mark, doubled down on their commitment to manufacturing here in this state, and have become one of the most iconic brands we know, employing over 400 workers. It's employers like Cabot Hosiery Mills who show us what's possible when we make things here at home. Manufacturing jobs create opportunity, the kind that support families, strengthens our towns, and builds a foundation for more housing and economic growth in our rural areas. And while we're grateful for their commitment to Vermont, it doesn't come without challenges. It's no secret that in every corner of our state, the lack of decent, affordable housing is a major concern. It's impacting those who are looking to move into an apartment or buy a home, and prevents us from growing our workforce. We hear it from employers all the time, who have offered jobs to people out of state, who want the job and want to move here, but end up turning it down because they can't find a place to live. And that shows up in the data. We've seen our demographics trend in the wrong direction over many years. In the last decade, we gained 48,000 more people over the age of 65 and have 28,000 fewer people between the ages of 40 and 54, which is the backbone of our workforce. So it's more important than ever that we make sure our kids and young people know about all the good paying opportunities in the state, while also focusing on building the housing we desperately need so Vermonters can afford to live and work here. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jay Ramsey, Director of Workforce Development at the Department of Labor. Jay?
Thank you, Governor. You're absolutely right. Vermont's manufacturers like Cabot Hosiery Mills are proof that when businesses invest in their people and their communities, they can thrive right here at home. At the Department of Labor, we see that every day. Across the state, there are more than 1,100 manufacturing businesses employing over 27,000 Vermonters. That's 1 out of every 11 jobs in our economy. Vermont manufacturers create products we know and love, and others that we might not even realize are made here, using a full spectrum of materials from milk and maple and hops to wood, metal, textiles, and composites. Together, these companies contribute over $3 billion to the Vermont's GDP. The average manufacturing wage from production line workers all the way up to human resource professionals is over $71,000 a year. That's about $7,000 higher than the statewide average across all other sectors. A career in manufacturing offers real opportunity for advancement, financial stability, and a strong future for working people. For all the parents, grandparents, and trusted advisors to young people out there watching today, I want you to know that today's manufacturing looks very different than it did generations ago. We're talking about bright, clean, high-tech environments. On the shop floor, workers are using computer-controlled machines, robots, digital design tools, and 3D printing to produce everything from precision components for rockets that are bringing people and things to space, to the microchips in our devices, and the outdoor gear that keeps us warm. For anyone wondering how to take that first step, we've got a lot of options for you. If you're in high school, check out your local CTE programs in advanced manufacturing, engineering, and design. You'll get a hands-on experience and a head start toward credentials and an apprenticeship. If you're a hobbyist or a tinkerer, community maker spaces like the Generator in Burlington and Hatch Space in Brattleboro can help you turn creativity and craftsmanship into a career. And if you're looking for a more structured path, the Community College of Vermont offers a Career Pathways Entry Program, or CPEP, and that lets you explore manufacturing, earn college credit, gain industry-recognized credentials, and get paid while you learn. There are many opportunities to earn a good wage in manufacturing, and it's never too late to start. Whether you're a student, a career changer, or somebody ready to turn a passion into a profession, if you're ready to begin, there's nearly 800 jobs listed right now on VermontJobLink.com with manufacturers across the state who are eager and willing to hire and train you. And if you're not sure how to take that next step, the Department of Labor's employment and training consultants in our 11 job centers across the state are ready to assist you with career guidance, job matching, financial assistance, and training connections to help you take that next step. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to Angelica Taylor of Cabot Hosiery Mills.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cabot Hosiery Mills. We are excited to have you here today and honored that you're joining us. My name is Angelica Taylor, and I have the privilege of being the COO at Cabot Hosiery Mills and our family of brands. Today, we are standing in our newest of 3 facilities across this great state of Vermont. Let me take you back to the beginning of our rich, long history of Vermont manufacturing. Cabot Hosiery Mills was founded in 1978 by Mark Cabot. In 1989, Rick Cabot left his publishing job to join his father at Cabot Hosiery Mills in Northfield, Vermont. In the early 2000s, when hosiery production was largely moving offshore, the company faced significant challenges and was struggling. We were down to a small number of employees, a small number of machines, but we possessed a great deal of hope and an even larger amount of determination and commitment to stay here in Vermont. In 2004, driven by that determination and a bit of stubbornness, Rick Cabot launched Darn Tough Vermont. He made the decision to double down in manufacturing in Vermont, producing premium, longer-lasting socks right here, all backed by the industry's first and only lifetime guarantee. Under Rick's leadership, Cabot Hosiery Mills has thrived. He took it one step further in 2023 when he identified a gap in the premium sock wool market and introduced our newest brand, Wide Open Socks. In 21 years, we went from 35 employees working 3 days a week to over 400 employees working 7 days a week, all in the state of Vermont. Our future here in Vermont is bright, and we continue to grow each year. We are strong, and we are Vermont. Local manufacturing jobs support generations of families, schools, and local businesses. As we continue to grow, this offers opportunities for Vermonters to become part of our family. Our values align with Vermonters, and there's a generational pride in craftsmanship and quality here. We focus on creating a place where people want to work and grow, because we are here to stay. We are proud of what we built and continue to build in Vermont, and we are proud of the people who made it possible. Whether you're looking for a stable career, hands-on work, or a chance to innovate, this is the place for you in Vermont manufacturing and at Cabot Hosiery Mills. Come join us. Come build with us. Come grow with us. I don't want to give any secrets out, but we also might be looking for a 4th site here in the near future. So keep that in mind. This is our brave little state. Thank you, Governor Scott and Mr. Ramsey, for joining us here in real manufacturing that is committed to being here, committed to being better, and committed to being in Vermont. Thank you all for your time today. I will pass it back to Governor Scott.
Thank you, Angelica, and thank you, Rick. We'll now open up the questions. Maybe we can stay on topic first, and then I can let them go away from the podium.
Governor, maybe this is for Angelica too. The tariff situation, has that affected your operations, source of materials, or your bottom line about whether you choose to expand or how is it affecting your business?
Yes. So yes, we are being affected by tariffs like many. Some of our sources are sourced internationally, but we're weathering the storm. We're looking at ways that we can protect our prices and our customers through all of this. And we are strong and we're going to make it through. And we're figuring out every plan we possibly can to be able to fight and combat that.
How are you sort of adapting? Are you where are you sourcing materials from? And what's the financial impact? Like where do you get the materials originally? How are you doing that?
So we are being impacted by tariffs. We source our yarns domestic and internationally. So we are affected in some ways, but as of right now, we are just weathering the storm and making sure that, again, we have 400 employees that we need to look out for, so we're making the best decisions to ensure that we stay in a good spot.
Are you expecting to source more yarn domestically?
As of right now, it's very difficult to find the quality of yarn all domestic source, so we don't have many options to be able to do that. If we could source it domestically and find the quality, we would, but as of right now, that's not an option for us.
So when you source internationally, what impacts or difficulty financial impacts?
So it does have an impact because of the 15% tariff on any portion that we bring in. Like I mentioned before, we're figuring out the difference of how to react to that, whether it is price, absorbing, and a combination of both.
Governor also mentioned housing as being I know there's that project down the street that there was a vote on county housing, but between here and Northfield, I mean, if you had more housing, the way that has gone, like how many more jobs could you have or could you expand to if you had, say, housing?
I would love to have more housing because that is definitely a problem as you're bringing people to Vermont and they're trying to find a place to live. It's difficult, same with the cost of living. We are looking at adding about 30 more manufacturing jobs next year. So that is part of our scaling plan.
The state intends to get more young people involved in manufacturing because the money over have a goal as to how many young people they want to see join the manufacturing force in Vermont.
Thank you for that question. In my remarks, I noted that there are 800 available jobs. So any job that employers are looking for, we want to see anybody go into. I don't know that we have a particular goal around young people in manufacturing. Part of what we're trying to do is educate parents and grandparents and other people who are helping make decisions about what is possible in manufacturing. And if you graduate high school, you're not on a manufacturing track, that's okay. You can change your mind, and we still have programs that will help you enter the manufacturing field.
And I'm sure with manufacturing being on the line isn't the only opportunity in businesses like this. It builds a whole hierarchy of other positions that would be available. So it's anytime we can spur economic development, it helps everyone across the board, whether it's the local restaurants and the local hardware store and so forth. Everyone gets a piece of that when we expand the economy.
With the government shutdown recently, has that been or has that not been affecting manufacturing pricing in Vermont?
The government shutdown, whether it's affecting your business here at this point in time. I'm asking you questions now. I think I saw that you at one time had some military contracts. Is that ongoing?
Yes. We have ongoing military contracts right now, so some of them are on hold. but it is a smaller portion of our business. So it is affecting us some, but not in a large way at this moment.
Well, that wraps it up. Thank you.
Governor, how did your meeting this week with Burlington Mayor Emma Mulvaney?
This is where you might want to exit stage, unless you want to answer these questions. We had a very productive meeting, I thought. Everything went very well. We presented our plan. They had a lot of questions. They had some suggestions of their own, more long-term than short-term. So we're just waiting at this point for them to get back to us so that we can move forward.
What kinds of ideas is your team bringing to the table?
I don't really want to get into that at this point. I hope we're going to have an announcement in the next day or so. But that all depends on the cooperation with the mayor's office. Obviously, we're not trying to force our way into Burlington. We're just trying to help.
In your meetings with the mayor and other stakeholders in the city, what specifically have you seen and noticed in Burlington? Has that changed your perspective on anything?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it changed my perspective on what we're seeing, but I do feel as though there's a community spirit that wants to improve. They want their downtown back. They want to feel safe in their downtown. They want to be able to welcome people back into the downtown. So across the board, whether it's from Democrats or Republicans alike, it's not a political issue. I think it's more about how do we do it. And we feel we came up with a plan that can work for everyone. And we'll see what happens the next day or so. But we're hoping to hear back from the mayor. Had some questions back and forth in the meantime. So time will tell.
Did you walk through City Hall Park?
We did. I mean, not when I met with the mayor. No.
The president said he secured more in his first 100 days that he secured more than $5 trillion of private and foreign investments. And I'm just wondering if we're going to see any companies or any of that investment come back to personal specifically.
Maybe just can you repeat that again?
Yeah.
Just so that they can get it.
In a statement that the president released a few days ago, he said that in his first 100 days in office, he secured more than $5 trillion of private and foreign investments to bring back to industrial United States. I'm just wondering if you guys think we will see any of those investments or companies coming to the
I don't know how many trillion you got, Rick, but I don't know if you heard the question. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, those are just words until we see it actually happen. It's much like the tariffs. You know my position on the tariffs. I don't think this is the right approach, but the president has moved forward with that, and apparently it's going to make us very rich, and I don't know where all the money's going after. I think that's really important, but it could be invested back into some of the people and some of the challenges we face.
Governor, according to public records, ICE plans to contract analysts who will operate on a real estate to find information that will lead to arrests, but means like that, social media for high-profile cases that they need. Did you know about this intent for ICE to expand?
Well, I don't think it's. I think we've seen ICE expanding over the last decade or two, and that was due to the efforts of our congressional delegation. I mean, this was supposed to be a good thing. Like, we're bringing people in, providing more jobs and opportunity and so forth, and welcoming some of those entities, federal entities, into the state. So, but I didn't know anything, obviously, about the social media aspect, but I guess I'm not surprised that they look for ways to do their work. But I don't have any other anything else to offer at this point in time, other than what I've heard.
I mean, do you have concerns about that work going on here in the state, like in our
Well, again, I think this was something that we somewhat asked for over the last 2 or 3 decades, and they're here, and they're like a call center for the whole country. So I'm not sure what we can do about that, but we welcome many entities, federal entities, in to Vermont over the last decade or two, probably more.
Governor. Hi. As the congressional shutdown continues, I wonder how you're feeling about that at this juncture, and I wonder what your response is to some of the members of Vermont's Democratic congressional delegation who were a little peeved, shall we say, at the letter that you sent to the Senate urging them to come to a deal to keep the government open. They seem to want to hold the line, and they don't think that that's very helpful for them to be able to hold the line against what they see as a continuing resolution that would hurt tens of thousands of Vermonters and their health insurance.
Yeah, I think I would disagree, obviously, with the intent of the letter. Anticipating this question, I brought the letter, so I'd like to at least comment on what I actually said, if that's okay. And I might read the whole letter just so you understand how we got to where we are today and how words are sometimes twisted. I sent this letter to Senators Grassley, Thune, Barrasso, Schumer, and Durbin. So over the last 3 decades, the threat of government shutdowns and the reliance on temporary, continuing resolutions have become far too common. Each time they disrupt essential services that millions of Americans rely on, services that transcend politics, from paying troops and supporting veterans to caring for seniors and ensuring public health and safety. These are responsibilities an overwhelming majority of American citizens expect their government to meet. As a Republican in Vermont, who has served in both the legislative and executive branches, I know how difficult it can be to reach across the aisle to build trust and cooperation, and how much it irritates activists and ideologues in both parties. I also know it can be done well, and it delivers better results for the people we serve. Every state in our union manages to build and pass balanced budgets. The United States Congress can do the same if you choose to rise above the partisan battles to prioritize this core constitutional duty. A government shutdown helps no one except the political parties, because it weakens trust in Congress, burdens families and communities, and deepens divisions. The founders of our republic warned of the dangers of these divisions. President Washington, in his farewell address, cautioned that partisan factionalism would distract the public councils and enfeeble the public administration, as well as inciting dangerous animosity among the public and inviting foreign corruption. President Lincoln reminded us that a house divided against itself cannot stand. These warnings, issued long before America's politics could be corroded by the partisan weaponization of cable, the internet, and social media, speak directly to our present, and is my most sincere hope that you will heed them on this issue and others. Now here's the part we're getting to. This was at the end of the letter. If Congress cannot finalize a long-term budget agreement before the start of the new fiscal year, I urge the Senate to pass a bipartisan, clean funding extension. Doing so would protect service members, veterans, low-income households, and countless others from unnecessary hardship. It would also demonstrate that Congress is still capable of rising above party politics to put the interests of the nation first. At this moment, Americans across the political spectrum are watching. Most of us do not demand partisan perfection. Instead, we are seeking stability, integrity, and authentic American leadership. Our country is in desperate need of the type of leadership this moment requires. Thank you for considering my point of view. And that's what I said. And in terms of the subsidies, and that's what they're getting at. When I said bipartisan clean bill, continuing resolution, that would have been included from my standpoint. That would, I know it sunsets, but all they have to do is extend it with a continued resolution. So my intent was to continue to do what we're doing today and work on the budget that needs to be passed separately, but don't harm people in the meantime. So that was my intention, and I think the bipartisan, inclusion of bipartisan would mean they would have to have people on both sides of the aisle to come to agreement before this could happen, 60 in the Senate.
Want the subsidies that are an issue in this matter?
For this continuing resolution, yeah. The subsidies are very important to Vermont, and without them are going to hurt countless Vermonters. So I think there has to be some protection of these people in the ongoing bill, but certainly during a continuing resolution.
So then, I guess my question would be, do you have any particular words for the Republicans in Congress at this moment that don't appear to be willing to negotiate with the Democrats at this moment on this
Right.
issue?
This letter, I think this was before they shut down, says it all. You know, I'm not blaming Democrats, I'm not blaming Republicans, I'm blaming both of them. And they need to come together, just like we do in the States. And it's not easy, it's not comfortable. Everyone has their point of view. I mean, we've experienced that here in Vermont. I've experienced it as governor. So when that happens, you have to make choices. And they have choices to make. And I think that they should think long and hard about what this does to our country and how it further divides us and erodes our democracy.
Last question for me would be, Treasurer Pichek made some remarks the other day that seemed to indicate that he feels as though we're not doing enough as a state to fight the Trump administration in many fronts. And in fact, he said something to the effect of, the only effective response is fight tooth and nail at every opportunity. And I know that's not quite how you've been approaching negotiations with the Trump administration, but I just wonder if over the last 9 months, your view on how to deal with the Trump administration and some of the chaos that you've articulated, whether your position has changed a little on that.
I don't think I've changed my perspective on that. I still believe that we should take every single issue that comes along, and if it's a viable issue, if it's real, and it's going to affect our state, we should push back. But we can't fight every single issue. We can't live in chaos over the next 3 years, 2 months. It's not good for our health. It's not good for our state. And there are some things that they're doing which are fine. We can live with. Maybe not ideal, but we can live with it. But the things we can't, we'll push back on. But I'm not interested. I'm more interested in focusing on the issues that affect Vermont and how do we do better. And I think every day there's an opportunity to do that, and we're going to focus on that. But we'll have those battles. I mean, it's no surprise. I push back against the president on many issues, and we'll see what happens in the future. And I'm sure there'll be many, many more, but not every single day.
Governor, people state employees are continuing to voice their concerns over the return to work policy, especially with those living out of state having 9 months to move here. For those who can't do it within that time frame, are there any exception for them? What's the latest?
We're trying to be as fair and equitable as we possibly can on this return to office initiative. As I've said before, I think it's long past time we do. And I was surprised at the number of people out of state that are working for the state. So we'll continue to use common sense, use compassion, do everything we can, but we're going to return to the office for a minimum of 3 days out of 5. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Governor, what is your message to the sub 50,000 Vermonters that are going to have to search for new healthcare options this fall following the collapse of the Medicare Advantage marketplace? People, of course, having to go on to either regular Medicare and pay more for prescription drugs out of pocket, or go on to an expensive Medigap plan. What's your message to Vermonters?
Yeah, again, we're trying to work with our Department of Financial Regulation to find other options for these folks. It is going to have an impact on many Vermonters. There are some options out there, but I'm not aware of each and every one and individually what the path forward would look like, but be happy to have Commissioner Sampson talk about that, maybe at the next press conference.
Quickly, Governor, obviously, big news story this week, the forming of the National Guard in Chicago and Portland. Firstly, just her reaction to the images and the videos coming out of there. What's your reaction been?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I've said this before. I don't think our Guard should be used against our own people. I don't think the military should be used against our own people. In fact, it's unconstitutional. Unless, of course, there's an insurrection, much like we saw January 6th a few years ago, then it might be appropriate. If we had people trying forcibly to take over our state house, it might be appropriate to call the Guard out. But what I'm seeing, I just think it's unnecessary, and again, it further divides and threatens people, and we need stability right now in this country. We don't need more unrest.
Yeah, Trump called for the arrest of your colleague David Pritzker.
Yeah.
Would you condemn that?
Yeah, again, words matter, but he uses words in those kinds of ways all the time, and there would be a tremendous pushback, obviously, if that were to happen. I would be on the forefront of that. I think the governor has a right in every state to authorize the National Guard. In this state, I'm the Commander-in-Chief of our National Guard, and I feel I have the right, unless he calls them up under a different authority, to say no. And I think that's what Governor Pritzker is doing, is saying no. And so I just think it's wrong on many, many different levels. Thank you again for having us here. I appreciate it.